Alrighty, we're going to discuss a little cover, concealment, a little tactical stuff here. Cover and concealment. What's the difference between cover and concealment? Cover is something that hides you, or concealment is something that hides you. Cover is something that gives you protection. So this hay bale, one of these would be more of a concealment. I could hide behind it. But a bullet would probably go through it. Two of them, a bullet may not go through. Two of them, an arrow probably wouldn't go through. So if my danger or my threat had a bow and arrow, I could use a couple bales of hay for cover and concealment. It would hide me and protect me. So when you hear somebody talk about cover and concealment and tactics and shooting, and anytime you're shooting, you want to make sure you have cover and concealment. You don't, by knowing the difference, technically it doesn't matter, but what does matter is I'm not going to hide behind a car door because a bullet will go through a car door. I'm not going to hide behind a glass door because a bullet will go through a glass door unless it's bulletproof glass. I'm not going to hide behind a thin, small plywood door versus a thick, solid wood door. One could be cover, one could be concealment. So cover and concealment is just something that you have to be aware of if you're in a tactical situation. If you're moving, if you're going in on a subject, if you're trying to hide yourself from someone else, because you can hide if the person doesn't know, and actually concealment can actually be cover because he doesn't know you're there. So as long as you're hidden, he's not going to be shooting at you. So when you hear the term cover and concealment, cover down, get behind something, it can be a couple things. The flip side, that's for when you're trying to hide or use it. When your suspect or your adversary or the guy that's trying to kill you or harm you is trying to use it, then you need to know the difference. Are they behind cover or concealment? Because if they're just behind concealment, like a piece of plywood or a piece of a plasterboard between a wall, sheetrock, most bullets, most arrows, most things will go through sheetrock. So if a person is trying to hide, a suspect is trying to harm you, and he hides behind a wall, and you know he's right behind the wall because you see a foot or you see a head or you see a hand, you can shoot through the concealment and still hit your target. If he's behind cover, technically, if you shoot through the cover, it's going to protect him because it's more solid. So if a guy is on the other side of a car and you're trying to shoot through two doors and two glass and two windows and seat covers, that's pretty good cover. If a guy's behind an engine block, that's pretty good cover because most rifles aren't going to go completely through an engine block. The engine block is so heavy, it's going to stop it. So if you're trying to get yourself behind something that's good, a mailbox is really good. It's thick, heavy metal. A car engine's really good. A car door may not be that good. A car tire can be good. It's a tire with a rim. It can be cover or concealment, depending on what somebody is shooting at you with. If they're shooting a .22, you'll probably be okay. If they're shooting a high-powered rifle that's going really fast, then you may not be okay. So understanding when you're thinking tactically about surviving or surviving a high-risk incident, if you're in a mall or somewhere and you have to hide behind something, hiding behind a clothes rack where your feet are at the bottom isn't going to give you cover, it's going to give you concealment. So knowing that if I have a chance of jumping between a pile of clothes or behind a hardened counter, I'm going to get behind the counter. If I have to go between a glass wall or a solid wall, I might run by the solid wall or try to get behind the solid wall. So that's what cover and concealment is a little bit. So this hay, not so much for cover and concealment, I'm going to talk about a thing called, I'm letting my hay dry out, that's why out here it got wet, so it's smoldy. I can smell a little bit. And the chickens are eating it. So we're going to talk about on this hay bale back here, a little bit of cover and concealment. So if this is a hay bale, so right now I have no cover and no concealment, I'm out in the open. If I move behind here, do I have cover or concealment? It depends. Guy's shooting at me with a bow and arrow, I probably got cover down here up here, because I've only got one, I probably only got concealment. If this was a solid hay bale and I had it all stacked up, this whole hay bale might give me concealment. The thing about concealment in cover is when you're shooting at a suspect or a suspect is shooting at you, and they're both interchangeable, understanding the concept helps you in both ways. You want to know what your suspect is hiding behind, and you want to know what you're hiding behind. So if I'm a left-handed shooter and I'm trying to use this for a shooting position, I really have to expose my body to shoot left-handed. However, if I switch to a right-handed position, I can really maintain cover and concealment and only get my rifle out here to expose you. So being able to shoot either right-handed or left-handed will help you be able to transfer. You know, people be like, well, I'm not going to shoot left-handed because I'm right-handed and my holster's on the right. There may be a time when this arm gets shot, it gets slammed in the door, you fall and break your elbow, you fall and break your wrist, and you have to shoot the other hand. And if you've never trained or practiced with it, you're not going to be able to adjust and know, you know what? If I can shoot this hand one hand, I can shoot this hand one hand. And if I can shoot this way two-handed, well, I can shoot this way two-handed. You have to be flexible in either way. Same way with a rifle. If I shoot a rifle this hand, or if I shoot a rifle this hand, I should be able to do both. For this very reason, if I want to come around this area, there's a thing called slicing the pie. And that's a term you may hear in tactics. And what that is basically I clear each area as I slice the pie, and I just come around. If I'm trying to get to you, and I'm going to do this behind here, I would come here, I would move a little bit out, I would move a little bit out. You see I'm slicing this pie? I'm just making little slices until I get to you, and then I keep going past you and I clear all the way here. If I do that behind cover, and I'll do it right here, you shouldn't see nothing but my eye in this gun. I'm slicing the pie. I'm slicing the pie. I can see you now, I can shoot you, you shouldn't see a whole lot of me. I should be pretty much concealment, but right now I've got a bead on you and I've got the front sight on you. So if I'm looking for somebody, I'm going to slice, I can't see, I'm going to go a little bit further, I'm going to go a little bit further, I'm going to go a little bit further, I'm going to go a little bit further. Oh, I see somebody. Now I can decide, do I want to go back, or do I want to keep them in my sights, or do I want to go ahead and engage the target? So, there. What are you guys doing? Chickens are out here trying to help me out. So that's called slicing the pie. That's a tactical term when you're clearing an area. If you don't know how to do it, and somebody says, see if somebody's around this hay bale. Most people may just come around like this and go, okay, nobody's here. Well, that's not good, because I put myself out in the open, I extend and I make myself a target. I want to keep my cover and concealment, so if I want to see if anybody's down here, I'm not just going to come out here and do this. I can do what's called a quick peek or a sneak peek, to where I poke my head out, take a glance, and come back. So just in case there's some knucklehead here waiting for me to stick my head out because he heard me, as soon as I walk out, he's going to shoot me. I want to do what's called a quick peek. So if I'm behind here in cover and I want to clear this, I'll come out and go, and I'm out. You never quick peek the same way twice, because if somebody picks you up on the first one, they're going to pick you up on the second one and be waiting. So if I quick peek once here, my next quick peek is going to be down here. And then my next quick peek may be up here. But you never give a quick peek in the same area. So, understanding cover, concealment, how it relates, what you're hiding behind, is what you're hiding behind really only hiding you, or is it protection? And when you're trying to clear an area, never give up more than you can lose, so you don't ever want to give up a large target. It's always minimal target. That's why slicing that pie is so critical, because I never give up very much of my body. I'm only giving up my weapon so I can sight and I can engage in case somebody engages me, but I'm slowly clearing, slicing each time. And I'm only doing this because I'm showing you the slice. What it would look like is I'd be coming around like this, very slowly. And I'm at an area where I want to target. Now, let me check my time and I'll see if I'll get into shooting center mass or if we'll do another one. I'm at 10 minutes. All right, we'll end that one there, and I'll do a second one on picking your target as far as mass. So what we talked about here was cover and concealment, knowing the difference. Technically, cover protects you from the weapon that you're going against. Cover changes depending on the weapon. If somebody's shooting at me with a paintball, a lot of things become concealment or cover, whereas if they're shooting me out a high-powered rifle, I have to consider my cover has to be a lot stronger. I need a bigger tree for the bigger gun. So a tree may protect you from most bullets, and as long as it's big enough you can get behind it, a tree will give you concealment, but it'll only give you cover depending on how thick it is and what type of gun they're shooting at it. If the gun they're shooting goes through the tree, it no longer is cover. It's only concealment. So understanding that, then you can apply that to what you have for cover and concealment and what the suspect, adversary, or the person trying to hurt you has for cover and concealment. And that's basically just the short of cover and concealment. I also talked about slicing the pie. When you're clearing around a corner, you never come out and just expose your whole body and to check or to clear a corner. You do it very slowly, methodical. You call it slicing the pie, and you hang back a little bit so you don't expose anything until you absolutely have to. In order for a person to see you, if you slice the pie correctly, they have to be staring at exactly what you're at. And in the next one, I'll get into center mass, and we'll talk about a little what the fatal funnel is. All right. Now, I also talked about quick peeks or sneak peeks, or peek. So again, you never peek in the same area twice, because if the guy picks you up the first time, then he'll be waiting there a second time. If you're in a different area, that means he's going to have to move his point of aim. Remember, we always want to keep our suspect or adversary having to change their position, having to change their aiming point, having to make them move. We do that by, we always move before we expose, engage, or confront tactically. All right, well, that there, hope that helps. Buddy and Mr. T, I don't know where they're at. They're out there goofing off. They're still good boys.